Imagine the world in 1914, a time when the great empires of Europe were locked in a catastrophic struggle known as the Great War. On one side were the Allied powers, led by Britain, France, and Russia. On the other, the Central Powers, dominated by Germany and Austria. For the first 3 years, the United States remained a distant observer. Across the Atlantic, President Woodrow Wilson maintained a strict policy of neutrality. He famously declared that the United States must be neutral, in fact as well as in name. But while the American people wanted to stay out of European trenches, the tide of history was pulling them in. Even during its neutrality, America was not entirely disconnected. Its factories were humming, producing vast amounts of food, raw materials, and weapons for the Allies. American banks were lending billions of dollars to Britain and France, effectively tying the American economy to an Allied victory. Germany, sensing this imbalance, retaliated with its most fearsome naval weapon, the U. In May 1915, a German submarine sank the British ocean liner Lusitania, killing 1,198 people, including 128 Americans. The tragedy sparked outrage across the United States, yet Wilson still hesitated to enter the carnage. The breaking point finally came in early 1917. Germany, desperate to break the British naval blockade, announced unrestricted submarine warfare, vowing to sink any ship approaching Allied ports. But the final nail in the coffin was the Zimmermann telegram. British intelligence intercepted a secret message from Germany to Mexico, proposing a military alliance. Germany promised to help Mexico reclaim lost territories in Texas, New Mexico, and Arizona if they attacked the United States. This direct threat to American soil changed everything. On April 6, 1917, the United States officially declared war on Germany. America's century could not have come at a more critical moment. By late 1917, the Allies were exhausted. Russia had collapsed into revolution and exited the war, allowing Germany to move its eastern armies to the Western Front for one final, massive offensive. France and Britain were running out of men and morale. Then, the Americans arrived. Under the command of General John J. Pershing, millions of fresh, energetic American soldiers nicknamed doughboys began pouring into France. They weren't just soldiers. They were a symbol of limitless resources and hope. By the summer of 1918, the American expeditionary forces were instrumental in stopping the German spring offensive. Battles like Châteauthierry and below it. American Marines and soldiers proved their grit. The climax came during the Meuse-Argonne offensive, the largest military operation in U.S. history involving over 1 million troops. This massive pressure, combined with the naval blockade and internal collapse in Germany, forced the Central Powers to their knees. On November 11, 1918, an armistice was signed, and the guns finally fell silent. The war lasted 4 years for Europe, but America's 19-month involvement fundamentally reshaped the globe. Before 1914, the United States was a debtor nation with a modest military, often ignored by European kings and prime ministers. By 1919, the world had flipped. Europe was shattered and bankrupt, while America emerged as the world's leading creditor. New York City surpassed London as the global financial capital. Politically, President Wilson traveled to the Paris Peace Conference as the moral leader of the world, presenting his 14 points to ensure a lasting peace. Though the U.S. later retreated into a period of isolationism, the seed of superpower status had been sown. The war proved that no global conflict could be decided without American industrial might and military intervention. The American century had begun. World War I was more than just a victory for the Allies. It was the moment America stepped out of its shell and onto the world stage as the most influential power on Earth.